Skyjon the Icon here, and I have to speak to you about what's been going on lately in the media. I'm going to be speaking to you about Kanye West. I'm sorry, I know you're sick of hearing it. I know everybody's got their perspective, but I couldn't sit back and let this one just ride and let it go. I have to speak on this because I know that there is a lack of understanding of what you're looking at. So to understand what Kanye West has been doing, you have to understand art. And that's why I'm speaking, because I am an artist. And I understand what he's doing, and I'm here just to offer to you an explanation of what he's been doing. So first and foremost, you have to understand one of the cardinal rules of all artists is subversion. Every artist who creates, especially those who find success, are trying to subvert a narrative. What is subversion? Subversion is a direct challenge to an institution or authority, right? It's trying to destroy that, right? Challenge the idea of what you think is supposed to be X, Y, and Z and show you why as a creative, that's not the case, right? That's the purpose of subversion. Every single creative person, anyone in the creative outlet is trying to subvert because of the way the artist versus industry battle is set up. And I will get to that later. The point here is that when you're viewing Kanye West's behavior, you have to view it from a point of subversion. And always look for the narrative he's trying to subvert against. Case in point, the White Lives Matter t-shirt. The White Lives Matter t-shirt is trying to subvert the narrative of Black Lives Matter, right? Now, when something is trying to be subverted, it must be analyzed within the people to see if the idea is worth getting rid of, right? I can't just destroy something because you're going to defend it. However, in your defense, you have to reevaluate, is this worth the risk, right? So in your defense, you have to evaluate, is this worth the risk of me even defending this? Pause. Kanye West releasing the White Lives Matter t-shirt makes you reevaluate the opposite and the narrative that he's trying to subvert, which is the Black Lives Matter movement. The Black Lives Matter movement, which is a conversation for a different video, I'll be very brief. It has a dual purpose. On one hand, it's a great thought process. It's pushing the country forward. It's forcing it's forcing a lot of conversations that would have never been had. The Black Lives Matter movement being very useful for raising the consciousness of a country so that we can do things like what Joe Biden has done recently, which is the throwing out or expunging the records of those who have marijuana charges, right? Without the Black Lives Matter movement, there is no lifting of the country's consciousness to take away or to chip away at the war on drugs. It's as simple as that. Now, on the other hand, the Black Lives Matter movement is also a political mechanism to get a certain group of people to vote a certain way. It's undeniable that the Black Lives Matter movement is a tool used to get votes for the Democratic Party, right? All those points, we can talk about those in a different video. The point here, we stay focused, is that Kanye West is only trying to subvert that narrative. And the purpose of subversion is not merely to create something different later or anything like that. It's just challenging it, take it down. You know what I mean? And if you don't believe me and you think that, and you want to diminish the superiority of Kanye West's creative genius, and you want to say he's just a crazy black man, I want to take you to the original, or not the original, but the most prolific artist who was all about subversion. And that's Pablo Picasso. If you study Pablo Picasso and you look at the first moment in his career where he put his subversion on the table, and he put his artist, the core of him as an artist, on the table. It's at one of his first art shows in 1916. It's an art piece called, I'm going to mess it up, but I'm going to put it up on the screen. Les Manteaux d'Ivonier, or Devon. This art piece, when it was released, the entire art world said it was like lewd, it was vulgar. They didn't understand it because Pablo Picasso was classically trained by his father. Pablo Picasso was a savant. He was a teenage prodigy, and he was way ahead of his times as far as his skill level. With that being said, being ahead of his time and being so skilled, he had only one choice as an artist, and that was to subvert what you think is industry standard. That was to subvert whoever is the authority on art. As an artist, let me show you through my creations that what you think is good is not good at all, because I am the one who will dictate what is good. Pablo Picasso did this throughout his entire career. As a matter of fact, the genre of art that's called Cubism was pioneered by Pablo Picasso, and that's merely a subversion of all those classical paintings that everybody loved back then. Now, at the time when Pablo Picasso did this, he was getting the same reactions that Kanye West is getting, which is, why would you do this? That makes no sense. X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. The point is, the ultimate level of an artist who's successful operating at the highest level is to behave like Pablo Picasso and behave like Kanye West, which is to completely subvert anyone who thinks they have an authority on what's going on. I'm taking that down, and I'm going to show you how it can be done better, or I'm just going to show you that you're wrong, right? That is the purpose of all artists in their work, is to subvert this narrative. No one becomes an artist because they want to paint or create things that everyone just says, oh yeah, that is that, right? Like, no one is in a museum because they painted something and everybody was like, I absolutely 100% get that right when I look at it. There's a difference between being an artist and being a crafter. We'll move on. So when you look at the antics with Kanye West to the point of subversion, and you realize that he's behaving in the same way that Pablo Picasso did, who was also incredibly arrogant, who was also way more into himself than he should have been, right? Who gave himself way too much credit. When you realize that, then you have to ask the question, okay, cool. Ultimately, where is this leading? And honestly, it's sad for me to say this, but it's leading to the same place that Pablo Picasso got. It's leading to the same place that every artist ends up at the end of their life, end of their career. Do I think that he will be, taken out or something crazy like JFK or something, or Kevin Samuels? No, not necessarily. The industry's going to win, man. The industry wins every time. Now, why do I say that the industry wins every time? Why am I telling you in this explanation of Kanye West that he's going to lose? Well, he's going to lose, but it's something that none of us can get around. And that is the artist versus industry. Now, I have to explain the artist versus industry dynamic. It's something that I wrote about in my book, A Stone Cold Philosophy, The Obligation of Self-Actualization. I wrote about this in 1998. There was this game Better As You Go Along. Proof of this being, right, off the back of, and you can look at any, I'll go a football analogy real quick, right? Peyton Manning played for the Colts for, I think, 15 years, something like that. However, his offense that he created, right, he didn't get to stay with his team. He didn't get to do every single thing he wanted to do. But the offense, the no-huddle offense he created has elevated football, right? So at the end of Peyton Manning's career, it doesn't matter if all of his records get broken. He forever changed the game, being an artist operating at the highest level. And that's all an artist really can ask for. So at this point, Kanye West proving that I can not only rap, sing, produce, make shoes. I think he's made a couple films. I can not only do those things, I can also help your company make 11 billion. I can, At the end of the day, he has forever made his mark as a black genius. He has forever proven that you cannot box every single person into one genre of thought. He has left his mark on this world, right? Will he get to be president? Probably not, right? Now, I'm going to clarify my thought on the artist versus the industry because I don't want to get away from it, because that's really the beauty of the Kanye West narrative, is watching the artist versus the industry narrative play out. So the industry, why do I say the industry always wins? The industry always wins because the industry is the commodifier. The industry is the one that makes money. The industry is the one that decides what and how things go to market. Now, why does the industry even need the artist? The industry needs the artist because there's something uniquely human about the artist. There's something that the artist is able to study that cannot be translated in the classroom, right? You can't teach a wrestler how to be Stone Cold. You got to actually be Stone Cold in your soul. You can't teach a rapper how to be Kanye. You got to be Kanye in your soul. You can't teach an artist how to be Eminem. Because if you could teach these things, the industry has no soul. They would make 1 million of them. But they can't. It's natural. It's real. Kanye West is really him. Really a genius. No bullshit. No fluff. No fakeness, right? the proof is in the pudding, right? There's 50 different Yeezys. Out of those 50 styles of Yeezy that he's had his hand in creating, 20 of them are amazing. 30, well, you might not like them, but 20 of those designs, amazing, right? So the industry cannot make this humanistic quality. It has to actually come from the people. All power comes from the people. However, as one person, you are limited, right? Who's Kanye gonna rap for if Spotify, Apple, and everybody won't release his music? If the stem player won't release his music, and you understand? They just shut down his tour or his stadium shows, right? The artist will always need the industry because you're just one man. You need a team, you need a group, you need a movement. You're going to need some way to get to the people. Now, the people can lift you up themselves, but even that only goes so far. To get your message out to the most people, you're going to need some type of industry backing, right? And the industry needs you to make money. You can only sell so many tickets for a certain artist before you need a new artist, before you need something new, right? And what are you going to get new if, right? Back to the original point. How can you get anything new in the industry if no one's willing to subvert what the authority on what's good is, right? Now you see my point, the 360 degrees. How can the industry find a new artist to make money off of if no one's willing to break the rules of what's considered good art? You see, it all goes in a circle. So to be clear, at the end of the video, number one, when you look at Kanye West, I want you to compare him in your mind to Pablo Picasso. And I know you may not know a lot about Pablo Picasso, but just know that at some point in an artist's career, when they reach a certain level of success, they transition from just being an artist to actually becoming the industry, right? And in that transition, it's very difficult to follow a logical response of that artist because the number 2 point of this video, the purpose of all artists at the end of the day is to subvert the narrative placed upon them. So you can't logically just follow an artist's thought patterns, especially a successful artist, because their inclination is subversion, which is to challenge any type of authority placed upon them. Pause. Most people operate and they trust the authority that was placed over them. Most people blindly trust what they're told. The artist is the opposite. So trying to logically follow what Kanye West is doing is not going to work. You can only analyze what he's doing from the point of subversion to understand what he's doing. And the third point of this video, before I conclude, is that Kanye West ultimately has to lose because every single artist has to lose, because one of the rules of life is that the industry always wins. They always win. Why? Because everybody wants to check a bag, and they can only check a bag through the industry. I'm sorry, you're great, you're amazing. They'll give you all the money in the world, but they will